a country of chaos, of the poor, and of people as wealthy as the state. Harsh lands that have found no peace since their founding. To Turkish-speaking generals, scientists, and serial rapists, truths and lies, slaves, organizations, and mysterious cults, those who live as men during the day and as women at night. A country where you will find whatever you are looking for. Pakistan, officially known as the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Founded by Muslims in British colonized India in the year 1947, Pakistan has found almost no peace since then in any area. Even their first Prime Minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, fell victim to an assassination. With a population of 220 million, today it is the fifth most populous country in the world, and at the same time, the first Islamic country to have nuclear power and atomic bombs. The country has such a complex sociology that with 60 different languages spoken, the official languages are English and Urdu. As a result of being a British colony for many years, English has become a language spoken by the majority of society. Since its establishment in 1947, Pakistan has been a state with close relations with Turkey. The foundation of this relationship lies in both countries, having been occupied by the British. During the years when the Indian people were struggling against British colonialism, Istanbul experienced a 5-year British occupation. Anatolia, on the other hand, was fighting for existence under the boots of Russian, French, Italian, and Greek soldiers. Throughout the process, Indians provided financial support to the Turkish people who were also under occupation like themselves. The relations between the two countries peaked in the 1960s and the 2000s, especially through Bülent Ecevit's initiatives. So much so that in the year 2000, a military training program was initiated between the two countries. In 20 years, more than 1,500 Pakistani officers received military training in Turkey under this program. Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf, who came to power with the coup in 1999, moved to Turkey when he was only 6 years old due to his father's appointment as a diplomat, and learned Turkish while living in the country for 7 years. Even today, many Pakistani generals who came to Turkey in the 2000s for education can speak Turkish. However, this is a country of imbalances. So much so that while Pakistan has one of the world's most powerful armies, it is also ranked among the world's least educated populations. Only 58% of the population in the country is literate. According to the 2017 report, half of the children in Pakistan do not attend school. The report states that out of 51 million children, 22 million do not attend school. The most important reason for this is the state's lack of support for families with children in extreme poverty. These children often start being made to work before they even reach the age of 7. One of the reasons for lack of education is that in religious communities, sending girls to school is considered a sin. So much so that the Taliban still have significant influence in many regions of Pakistan and had banned girls from attending school in the cities they control. Those who did would be punished with death. The 14-year-old girl Malala Yousafzai was shot in the head by a Taliban militant while on a school bus, and after surviving, the Taliban stated they would repeat the attack. In response, the government offered a $100,000 reward for capturing the attacker, and 2 million people in the capital held demonstrations for children's right to education and compulsory education. In Pakistan, between the years 2007 and 2015, in 867 attacks on schools, 392 people had died. Today, although the Pakistani state is making a great effort to open the way for children in the field of education, not much progress has been made. Furthermore, educational unity in the country has not been fully achieved. Schools that provide British Cambridge education have a high-quality curriculum, whereas Pakistani public schools, which can also be referred to as neighborhood schools, are known for having a medium level of education quality. Today, the elite class that enabled the Pakistani military to possess nuclear power and allowed numerous Pakistani scientists to exist on the international stage is the segment educated in Western-style schools. In addition to this, a significant portion of the population receives education in religious madrasas. Alongside all this radicalism, interestingly, there is a transgender public school in one of Pakistan's major cities, Multan. Trans individuals receive education there. On one side, radical organizations. On the other, transgender schools. What an incredible contrast. Religious madrasas in the country are also considered educational institutions. In Pakistan, religious madrasas are the emergence of one of the world's greatest dangers. It is the place. The Taliban emerged in the madrasas in Pakistan with the support of the Pakistani government. But as with every armed organization, this power born with the support of the Pakistani state later turned its weapons towards Pakistan, has turned. However, the Pakistan state has managed to learn from this mistake. In fact, at the beginning of the Syrian war, seeing the Turkish state's support by taking sides among the armed groups in Syria, Mushahid Hussain, the chairman of Pakistan's Senate Defense Committee, stated that Turkey was repeating the mistakes made by Pakistan in Afghanistan in Syria. He stated that Turkey was experiencing the Pakistanization syndrome and that establishing relations with such organizations would result in the weapons turning against Turkey tomorrow. He told Turkish officials, of course, who listened to this? Let's now get to know the people of Pakistan a bit. If you were a male born in Pakistan, you would have been born 5 times luckier in life. One of the most interesting traditions in Pakistan is an intriguing marriage culture that dominates the entire Indian subcontinent. Unlike in our culture, asking for a dowry or bride price in Pakistan is considered shameful. In this sense, if you are a man in Pakistan, you are lucky, because in addition to marrying the girl you love, you can also become wealthy with her dowry. When you think of dowry, don't imagine linens, dinner sets, or such things in a chest. We're referring to the promised property, wealth, gold, and money from the bride's side. If the bride-to-be is the daughter of a wealthy landowner, it means vast lands in the marriage. If the father-in-law is a wealthy merchant, then the groom also gets a ready business and a nice house. Let's assume the groom is a doctor. In that case, the father-in-law will set up a good clinic for him. Before the wedding, the elders from the bride's side direct the worst imaginable insults at the groom. Enduring these words is considered a test of patience. So, what happens when the bride's side is poor? If you ask them, in Pakistan, just like in India, the caste system comes into play. A serious caste system still exists in Pakistan. Therefore, a poor girl can only marry a man from her own class. In Pakistan, when couples get married and enter the bridal home together, it's also an unspoiled tradition of Pakistani weddings for the groom's friends to gather and recite poetry before the wedding. Another difficulty of being a woman is that Pakistan is one of the places in the world with the highest number of harassment cases. It is impossible for a woman who goes out alone in big cities not to experience harassment during the day. Sometimes this even turns into mass harassment. For example, on August 14th, 2021, during the Independence Day celebrations in the Lahore region of Pakistan, a woman was harassed by 400 men, and this situation caused a great stir in the media. The harassment and rapes in the country are not limited to just women. A shameful tradition of Afghan origin called bachabazi, where underage boys are used for the purpose of prostitution with older men, is seen in the northern regions of Pakistan and less frequently in the central regions. Don't think that I am exaggerating or unfairly criticizing a country we call a friend. In the documentary titled Pakistan's Great Shame, which was filmed in Pakistan and in which former Prime Minister Imran Khan also expressed his sorrow on the subject, the details of how young children in the country are exploited far more than the rest of the world are narrated. And interestingly,
In the documentary, people were not hesitant to talk about what they did.
Former Prime Minister Imran Khan had expressed his sorrow by saying, "Unfortunately, we cannot protect our children." In the documentary, it was also mentioned how Pakistani immigrants who enter Turkey illegally and whose numbers increase every day film Turkish women and children on the streets and post the videos online. The legal marriage age being 16 in the country is also seen as one of the reasons for such issues. Traditions like Bachabazi do not take place unnoticed only behind closed doors. For example, they have another frightening tradition called Vani. It is a terrible tradition that emerged 4 centuries ago to end blood feuds among tribes in Pakistan. I hope it never happens to any child in the world. However, to stop blood feuds, girls much younger than 15 years are given as slave brides to the other side. Yes, literally slave brides. In these marriages, according to tradition, no one smiles. The girl taken as a bride is not given gifts. She leaves her home with her everyday clothes and belongings and steps into a dark life at a very young age. Although the state of Pakistan has banned this tradition and announced that those who practice it will be punished, it has not been able to prevent it. In 1973, Pakistan adopted a new constitution requiring all laws to conform with the principles of the Quran and Sunnah, and naturally, alcohol consumption and alcoholic entertainment were banned in the country. However, these rules are more heavily enforced on the poor segment of the population. If you are wealthy, you can access these under the table and avoid penalties. Additionally, underground parties with alcohol, which only the elite can attend, continue until the first light of day. Taxi parties are usually held in soundproof venues or outside the city center, and you need someone to invite you to attend. If you go as a tourist, try to maintain good relations with people. This way, you can discover Pakistan's hidden world. The Pakistani people, who have always had sympathy for Turks, will show you understanding in every matter. Indeed, although it is a country very contrary to my worldview, hearing that you are Turkish will allow many doors to open for you. It is not right to put all of the people of Pakistan in the same category, because in a country of 220 million people, it's possible to encounter all kinds of individuals. However, if you're a tourist, and especially if you are Turkish, there is no security issue. You will not experience any safety issues. You will not go hungry, and you will always be met with a smile and interest. Be assured of this. However, this is true if you go as a man or a couple. Isn't it truly a country of contradictions? Pakistan's biggest rival is India, which is also a neighboring country. The two countries often come to the brink of war, and this has led to an interesting tradition. At the Wagah border crossing, which is at 0 point with India, an interesting ceremony takes place every day of the year with their biggest rival, India. The soldiers of both countries demonstrate their strength to each other here. The people gather on their own sides, and while the soldiers are displaying their might in the ceremonies, they try to drown out the other side with their slogans. In fact, with these exchanges, the tensions between the peoples of the two countries on the brink of war are also alleviated. The flag ceremony, which was initiated in 1959 to strengthen cooperation and brotherhood between Pakistan and India, has turned into a source of national pride and a field of competition. If any soldier from either country falls, stumbles, or fails to deliver the expected performance during the ceremony, they are mocked by the opposing stands. Soldiers showing their fists and arm muscles to each other point their thumbs down to show they didn't like the opponent's performance. This ceremony takes place every day of the year and is considered the most interesting military standoff in the world. If you ever find yourself in Pakistan, I would say this should be the first event you attend. The issues with India are not negligible. For example,
any television channel attempting to broadcast Indian programs in Pakistan will undoubtedly be shut down. Where do you think the city with the world's dirtiest air is? China? No, it's Lahore, Pakistan. In Lahore, one of the world's dirtiest cities, you can see dust accumulating on your skin every 5 minutes, and a large portion of deaths are due to lung cancer. In 2018 alone, 135,000 people died from air pollution in Lahore. Leave your car somewhere, and when you return, you'll see it's covered with a layer of dust. Both the dense layer of dust and the lack of any filtration systems in factories have turned Lahore into a city of death. Hygiene is a major issue in Pakistan as well, just like in India. When you go outside the centers of well-maintained cities and states like the capital Islamabad, the streets are filled with sewage and garbage streams. If there is a stream, sewage flows into it, and people wash their clothes, drink water, bathe, and swim to cool off there. Staying in a clean room for tourists means spending $150 per night across the country. Staying in cheaper hotels means both using unhygienic water that leads to the stomach ailments seen throughout Pakistan and having to sleep on sheets that have been used many times by previous guests without being washed. However, one of the most mysterious tribes in history lives in this country. The lost tribe of Alexander the Great, the Kalash. You heard it right. Like Iyas, the Kalash, who show great differences from other peoples living in the region with their physical appearance, beliefs and traditions, are thought to be descendants of Alexander the Great's army, which set out from Macedonia to conquer Asia in centuries before Christ. They have a population of about 4,000 to 5,000. Their language is protected by UNESCO. While walking around in Pakistan, you can see that the shade under every tree is used as a barber shop. Street vendors with trays of bottles are oiling the customers' hair. In this sense, olive oil is quite valuable in Pakistan. From the richest to the poorest, most Pakistani men always walk around with oily and sleek hair. And barbering is not only for people. Camel barbering also continues to exist as one of the world's most interesting professions in Pakistan. Camels that are well groomed and have beautifully shaped fur sell the fastest. The feature once assigned to camels, an old riding animal, has now been reflected in trucks and minibuses. Those who buy a truck spend months on decoration before taking it out on the road. If your truck does not have wooden doors, you might be seen as poor. This has led to the emergence of interesting trucks roaming the roads like end-of-level buses. There are several different social classes in Pakistan, and we just mentioned that there is also a significant caste system. In Pakistan, things are a bit different compared to India. Although the Pakistani administration says that the caste system is an issue on the other side of the border, meaning in India, and that it is not a problem in Pakistan because they believe in Islam, looking at the daily life of a Pakistani person reveals that the situation is not quite like that in practice. In the year 2009, according to the report submitted to the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, Pakistan is one of the few countries where slavery in the form of bonded labor continues. The people of Pakistan say that the brotherhood system called Baradari, which even plays a role in the alliances of political parties with each other, and the caste system called Qawm have an important place in their social identities. In this caste system, the most influential group in the country are the landowners from whom most of the state leaders emerge. In every part of the country, there are families with large lands, and almost all of the leaders who have governed Pakistan up to the present day come from these landowning families. There are businessmen and landlords in the country who have no connection with the people and are seen as richer than the state by many. In addition to the very wealthy segment with no ties to the public, there is also a secular group which is well educated, has studied in schools that provide education at international standards, ensures the survival of the state and the continuation of Pakistan's existence, and is nationalist towards Pakistan. The segment serving as a bridge between the wide lower strata and the rich and ignorant upper strata allows Pakistan to have a strong army, the nurturing of many scientists, and continuous reform in the state. If it were not for this enlightened segment of Pakistan, today it would be impossible to prevent a Taliban-like situation as in Afghanistan. In 1980, Pakistan reached nuclear weapon capability, and in 1990, its first satellite to space has deployed. At the same time, it has one of the world's strongest armies and one of the best intelligence services. However, despite all this, it is an extremely poor country, because since its founding, neither political stability has been achieved nor unity among the people has been established. No prime minister has completed the 5-year term. Most recently, Imran Khan, who was recognized as the Statesman of the Year in Asia and considered a charismatic leader, was removed from office in the year 2022. Imran Khan was a former cricket player of Pakistan, a popular sport among the people, and the team he captained had won many trophies internationally. Imran Khan, the favorite of Pakistan university students and reformists, was chosen as the Man of the Year in Asia in 2012 and ranked third among the world's most successful leaders, has been shown. In the year 2018, he became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Imran Khan, as a major obstacle and innovation against traditional politicians turning the governance of Pakistan into a family business, was seen. In fact, he had initiated a project to plant 10 billion trees over 5 years to prevent the great damage caused by global warming to Pakistan's economy and people. And he had taken many steps in this regard. So much so that due to the climate crisis, the sea level in Pakistan's coastal areas had risen by about 10 centimeters. The melting of glaciers in the Himalayas, floods in the country, and extreme heat had frequently begun to cause deaths. Imran Khan was an important leader who initiated an environmental movement and was particularly named that the youth pinned their hopes on. However, over time, the validity of this situation began to be questioned. Although the charismatic leader had made many promises, he was unable to fulfill them. For example, as soon as he took office, he said that within 120 days, corruption would end and the audit court would be autonomous. However, it didn't happen. He said he would pursue the money laundered abroad through offshore accounts with a special team, but he didn't take any steps in 4 years. The revelation that some members of Khan's party were behind certain artificial price increases in food products, the police stating there was corruption but taking no action, and the promise of housing for 5 million people, with not even 1/20th fulfilled, led to a decrease in public support amid rising inflation in the country. He claimed that the uprising against him and the efforts to overthrow his government were supported by the Americans. But despite this, no evidence emerged. He couldn't do it. Likewise, he himself had supported the uprisings against the government that began in 2014. He was even one of the prominent figures in the coup, along with the Pakistani cleric named Tahirul Qadri, who lives in Canada. Many Pakistanis had not forgotten this. Additionally, despite all his charisma and moderation, Imran Khan was a major ally with Saudi Arabia. In fact, when he became Prime Minister, his first visit was to Saudi Arabia, and in a television program, when asked, "What would you like to do against corruption?" he repeatedly said, "If I had the power, I would do what Prince Salman did," taking the Saudi kings as an example, he had stated. In short, Imran Khan came as the hope of the youth, but lost his support without being able to accomplish anything. In the end, Imran Khan lost his struggle and was removed from government by the parliament. Furthermore, on October 21st, 2022, the Election Commission of Pakistan imposed a 5-year political ban on Imran Khan for illegally selling official gifts received from leaders and representatives of foreign countries.
Throughout Pakistan's history, all prime ministers have either been killed or deposed. However, they also had their own responsibilities in this, because every leader saw the state as their own property. Apart from them, Benazir Bhutto, Pakistan's first female prime minister, can be put in a separate category. Unfortunately, she was killed in a Taliban assassination. Benazir Bhutto was attacked twice by the Taliban. In the first attack, 138 people died, but she survived. However, in the second attack, she passed away, and Pakistan lost a great hope. Now, the poor state of Pakistan's economy is causing them to come to Turkey, which somehow hosts one of the world's largest refugee populations. Actually, while Turkey was a transit country for them to pass to Europe, due to the readmission agreement signed between Turkey and Europe that requires refugees like Syrians passing through Turkey to stay in Turkey, they can no longer go to Europe from Turkey and are now settling here. Yes, it may sound interesting, and perhaps you might not know. However, as a result of the readmission agreement we signed on December 16th, 2013, when refugees trying to cross to Europe are caught, they must be returned to Turkey and remain under our care. Well, friends, I hope it never happens to us. But if we were to leave, is there a country that would open its doors to us? Due to the European borders remaining closed, Pakistanis have also started to become residents of our country instead of crossing from Turkey to Europe. Of course, this is not the only reason. The initiation of citizenship sales by Turkey in past years also forms the second reason for the Pakistani influx. And these citizenship sales are conducted so disgracefully that the images of Turkish passports being delivered by cargo to Pakistani families unfortunately make people say, "Is our passport this worthless?" In advertisements in Pakistan, it is said that with Turkish citizenship, one gets the right to retirement, free education, and visa-free travel to 100 countries. Not everyone in Pakistan can retire. Only a very small portion of the population has been able to retire, and their allowances are constantly interrupted. As a result, a Pakistani who purchases a property worth $400,000 in Turkey can make themselves, their spouse, and all their children under the age of 18 Turkish citizens. Of course, Pakistanis who want to take advantage of these opportunities sell their properties there and buy real estate in Turkey.
I hope you've understood one of the reasons for the increase in house prices in Turkey.
In fact, countries like Malta also sell citizenship, but it is both much more expensive and requires separate payments for each person. In these years when our country is in an economic crisis, the ruthless sale of citizenship to bring in foreign currency is unfortunately nothing more than a struggling merchant selling their goods cheaply. I hope this mistake is quickly rectified. I tried to explain Pakistan and the Pakistani people to you as best as I could.